Welcome to the Halloween episode of CDMPTV. Today we are presenting what's your favourite scary movie. Today here with me, Daisy, and Amy. Right, should we take these off?
Oh my god.
Right. Well, we will be discussing our top 5 favourite scary movies, and then after us, Saul and Maxie will be presenting their
lesser opinion.
Yeah, they're like least relevant favourite movies.
Hello,
Mr. Rose. Okay, so shall we begin?
Friday the 13th.
Friday the 13th. That is 5th on our list.
My favourite one is the 2004 one, 2003.
2003. Freddy vs. Jason.
Freddy vs. Jason is great.
It's a crossover.
I know.
It's the crossover of the century. It is amazing. Right. Our 5 horror films are very much slasher films, which we took inspiration for our Netflix originals. Friday the 13th, 12 movies in the franchise. Amazing. That's quite a lot. Few
I haven't
movies.
seen all of them. I'm sorry.
And it's got the codes and conventions of an average slasher film. I mean, there's a mask.
There's no final girl.
There isn't.
Well, there is a final girl, but it changes in each movie.
And there's there's no Sidney Prescott in Friday the 13th.
There's no continuous final girl.
But there is a continuous mask and knife. The hockey mask. And I did some research on the knife. In the first film that Jason was the actual killer, he used... Well, no, the first film, when Jason was the actual killer, he used a machete, which is a little side note to when his mother, poor Pamela Voorhees, got killed with a machete. Yeah. And that is another thing. Friday the 13th is a perfect display of how people can be too much like their parents.
Childhood trauma.
Childhood mummy issues. It's not very good.
No, it's not. I mean, she is like, oh, go kill them. I mean, he's doing what his mum said.
He did. I mean, listen to your parents, but I know.
I mean, if they're asking you to kill people, that's a bit extreme.
Unless it's Saul.
Yeah, unless it's Saul.
Okay, right. Fourth film. We saw this recently in cinema.
This one came out this year. It's A24
A24 film. Yeah. Love them. Cool. Bodies.
It's
now,
amazing.
Let me tell you about Bodies.
It's so funny.
But so stressful.
We were in the cinema and we were basically on top of each other.
We were hyperventilating the entire time.
The whole time it's the house is in darkness and then you can't see anything. It just makes you feel so anxious.
And also, it is a very, very good commentary on our generation. Basically, wimps.
Yeah.
Who argue a lot.
It's very funny. It's someone will just be dead on the floor and they'll be arguing with each other.
Oh my god, you're so toxic.
So toxic.
Oh my god. It's amazing. And it's got Pete Davidson in it.
Yeah, that's true.
Any A24 film is a good film.
Obviously.
Yeah. It's very different from your normal horror film because it's it's funny. It's funny but still very terrifying. Funny. Oh, okay, well, that's them. It's very... Okay, anyway. It makes you very anxious, very high tension. But then there's a massive plot twist at the end.
There is. We won't say it. But there is.
No, we can't say it. I'm going to spoil every single film on this list for everyone.
You can't spoil the end of that one. It's too good.
You're going to have to watch it yourself.
You have to go watch it.
You're going to have to go and watch it yourself.
It's really good. We did not expect that.
It's amazing.
At all.
It is so good.
It was so funny.
And we left the cinema. We didn't really talk for a very long time. The codes and conventions, though, it was dark. There was a lot of gore. It was... You'd think there was I can't say that because it will spoil it. Right. It's dark, killery,
I mean,
gory.
There's Final Girl, but there's 2 Final Girls in this one.
There's 2 Final Girls.
And the first person that dies isn't a woman.
That is true. And there is a lot of diversity in this film, to be honest. There is quite a diverse cast, which is good.
But that's mainly because it was made this year.
Yeah.
A lot of other horrors are made.
But you'd think with the whole concept of it, of being a commentary on Gen Zs and the modern day and age, it wouldn't be that good because classical slashers are set in the 80s and 90s, and it's Cabin in the Woods, only kills on Halloween. But it's good.
It's just this one night we're in the gaff.
It's A24, mate. It's A24. Turning over with my little sheet here.
Here is our third.
Also, A24 film.
X. Also came out this year.
Let me tell you about X.
We can't spoil it though.
We can't spoil it, but let me tell you about X.
It's so good. Go watch it.
It's amazing.
It's
It
so
is
good.
so good. This is set in 1979 Texas, so it does like go along with that.
It's like filmed in a way a classic horror would be. Like it's not like the great. Oh. Okay.
I mean, there's some strange activities and.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Very interesting.
I mean,
anyway.
Moving on. X again. It's so good.
It's very good.
It's like
as I was saying, it's filmed in a way a classic horror movie would be, because it's not like this big feature film.
They're making a feature film now.
They're making a prequel.
The concept is that these group of people, young people, go to this random farmhouse to film in Texas
to film an adult film.
And the residents of said farmhouse are an old woman and an old man
who feel lonely.
You feel sorry for them.
Yeah, you do, and then
until
they
a
go
certain
and
point
murder them and everything.
when you don't feel sorry for them. And there's a prequel sequel coming out where the final girl. Can't say that. Spoiling it. Spoiling it, mate.
Fine.
The final girl in the actor of the final girl in X also plays the old woman in X. However, the prequel sequel that's coming out, she is playing the old woman but
as the
young
younger
woman
self, because they're supposed to mirror each other.
It's
mad. It's honestly
A24.
mad.
A24. And then
I mean, Code Conventions still follows last single girl at the end.
Final girl. Gory.
It's so gory.
It's so good,
very,
though.
very gory.
So good.
Yeah,
the deaths happen.
Who dies first? Is it a man or a woman?
I think it's a man. It is the man.
It's the one who runs out the house.
Yes,
yeah.
okay.
It's a man.
And he does the whole thing of making his character massively unlikable.
Yeah.
And then he dies.
Yeah. So you're like.
So that is another coding convention, which it does very much follow.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
it's very much a modern take on a classic slasher.
Because it's not like, a guy in a mask with a knife. It's like multiple weapons. It's a woman.
It's a woman
who does the killing. You know, women can kill.
But moving on to an extremely stereotypical slasher, which people will base their slasher films on. Halloween.
Such a good film.
Halloween.
1978.
The whole franchise. We went and saw the Halloween Ends film.
Go see it.
Yesterday.
Go see it.
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 Go and see it.
Just go see it.
Why are you watching this?
Why aren't you in the cinema?
Go to the cinema right now.
Why are you still here? Go
Shocking.
see Halloween Ends. It's so good.
But the original Halloween, amazing. It's such
definitely.
a good concept.
It's one of my favourites.
Let's talk about some of the things that Halloween does that no other horror film does do.
Oh, I love it. Okay, I was going to say Final Girl, but...
Counter-typical, you could say.
Okay.
Jason. No, not Jason.
Michael
Myers never dies.
No, he doesn't.
He's
and it
immortal.
doesn't say why in the movies.
But you've done some research.
I did some research. Oh, thank you.
You're
Thank you for the
welcome.
clipboard. I found out he's immortal because of this cult called the Thorn Cult. They gave him invincible, abilities. He's invincible. And they commanded him to kill every member of his family as a sacrifice to keep the cult alive.
And of course, being Michael Myers, you would do that.
Fez,
Of course you would.
would you be immortal?
Yeah.
Would you kill all your family?
Yeah.
Sound?
My cousin's annoying me at the minute. I mean,
Fez.
but there is we have Laurie, the final girl, into her old ages.
She's so old right now.
She is so old.
I'm
in that
impressed.
film. Yeah, in that film.
She had some action scenes.
She did.
That's not spoilers to the trailer.
Yeah.
She had some action scenes, and I'm like, damn.
She's good for her age.
She is
She
good for
really
her age.
is.
She's moving. She's she's defending. She's slaying.
She's slaying. She's girl bossing her way through through life. Some conventional final girl. That is
Killer in a mask with a knife.
The Halloween mask, but you never see his face.
You never see his face.
You never see his face.
Literally, it's like the mask comes off,
And
and you're
then
like, turn around.
What
turn
I
around,
like
and
is
it just
that
never
the
happens.
mask, half of the mask is burnt, and he doesn't go down the shop and get a new one.
No,
He
he's
stays
like,
true to his habits.
I've got my mask. This is my mask. I'm gonna keep it.
And you never see his full face,
No.
and I love that. Even this isn't a spoiler.
Because everyone knows who he is.
Yeah, but this isn't a spoiler. But even in the Halloween Ends film, you don't see his face.
No, you don't.
Still.
No.
And Halloween has ended.
It has.
Shocking. But now Halloween has ended, we can talk about our favourite franchise, our favourite everything. Oh, it's just so good. If you haven't guessed it, Scream. Oh, what can I say about Scream? It's amazing.
It's so good.
It's so amazing.
So good.
It is so.
It's so good.
Stereotypical though, but
yeah,
it
but
knows
it's self-aware
it,
of
and it plays on it, and what
it plays on it so well.
Film 6 is being filmed at the minute. I'm so excited.
Damn.
I'm so excited. But what I do like is that there are 5 films, and it has never once strayed away from the 2 killers every single time. Starts off with a kill, the first victim, and then it goes on to it. And then the final reveal at the end is while trying to kill Sidney Prescott. My only thing about Scream is that I wish Sidney Prescott would just die. She's
like,
been
come
there
on,
for
man.
too long.
Just get
too
a new
long.
one.
Get a new final girl.
How can you go through 6 movies
Yeah.
and not die?
And she just annoys me. She just
She's
annoys
so
me.
But you know,
It's fine. It's fine.
It's
I guess
fine.
because Scream is.
it's so good.
It's
so good, so good.
amazing. We have the iconic. Oh, my favourite thing in any horror film. It does it in other horror films, but the raised arm knife
Yeah.
shot. But
Very
with Scream, it's you see the cloak. It's usually in a dark, low-key lighted room. You've got the buck 120 in the hand.
Stab.
It's amazing. I love it. I love it so much. And I mean, they do really play on the fact that it is extremely stereotypical. Like,
oh, they really do.
when they do the whole, in the first film, when they're all sitting around the couch and they're watching a horror film,
the 5 rules.
the 5 rules. Don't drink, or you will die. Do not do drugs, or you will die. Do not have sex, or you will die.
Never say, I'll be right back.
And on that note, we'll be right back.
What you've just been seeing there is a montage of the horror works of past students. What?
Where's your body gone?
Oh. Floating head.
Oh, so you weren't a scary monster. You look scarier now, actually.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Who would have saw that coming?
Anyway, welcome back to the better half of the show. Assuming that you've just skipped past whatever monstrosity that was, and now you're actually ready to learn something.
Absolutely.
So, we will be covering 5 different movies today, which was a bit difficult to come to 5 actual horror/thriller films that we'd actually both watched.
We've got a list of 5 out of a grand total of 5 horror films that we have both seen, because the other pair decided that they were going to take the most iconic horror films that people have seen and claim all of them, apart from Nightmare on Elm Street, which someone hasn't seen.
I don't appreciate the shaming, but...
You'd need to watch Nightmare on Elm Street.
I will, don't worry.
Okay, to the films we have both watched, starting with It, the 2017-2019 version. All of these are within the second half of the 2010s and early 2020s.
It's a bit embarrassing for me, actually.
Yeah.
And I'm a TV and film student. Yikes.
You should be embarrassed.
Anyway, what are your thoughts on It?
I think it's a very good horror film. Like the other pair mentioned, their list was a lot of slashers.
Yeah.
This isn't
This is
that.
horror.
This is scary, creepy.
Speaking of creepy.
Yeah, also creepy.
I think they're scary without the masks.
Definitely scary without the masks. So he's very scary, but he doesn't need a knife to do it. He's just in control. He can do whatever he wants. A lot of teeth. He has teeth on teeth on teeth.
It's a bit terrifying.
It is.
Which is...
Especially when he starts like singing and dancing. Like you don't see Ghostface singing and dancing.
No.
Whereas you really...
It's where it's at.
Because it wouldn't work well with a person in a mask, but if it's an actual killer clown from... Trying not to say killer clown from outer space because that gets confusing. Completely different franchise. But there's only so many villains where you can make that work.
Yeah.
And Pennywise is that scary and such a... okay then. In such a goofy way. I'm not going to be able to get through this without laughing at them through there.
It's okay.
In such a goofy way, it scares you. Like in the second film, when he's on the balloons and he's singing about knowing his secret, one gets quite homophobic.
It does.
Quite very homophobic.
Beginning of the second one, that was homophobic. I remember watching it. I was in the cinema.
Stereotypical.
Yeah.
It goes against a rule set in Scream 4 that says the only way to survive a modern horror film is to be gay. Because clearly not, because the girls just get slaughtered right at the beginning.
It's quite upsetting though.
Very.
It was like really upsetting to watch. I had to leave.
They were so happy, and then they were just getting along with the day, and then they got beaten by random people, and then Pennywise came to finish them off, and it's like...
Does life get any worse? You've just had a hate crime committed on you, now you're just getting killed by a killer clown.
You're getting eaten by a clown, like... It's not the best days.
It's not really the... So I'd say it's pretty iconic.
It is. I mean, it's...
It is.
It is. It started as the Stephen King novel, which is a very long novel and has some very strange scenes in it, which I'm glad they didn't include in the film. If you know, you know. If you don't, consider yourself lucky. And then it got adapted into a mini-series, which is basically just shown as one movie now. In the 90s, I want to say.
Yeah.
That's my guess anyway. And now it's a 2-part film in the 2010s with a prequel on the way. Which I don't know why we need a Pennywise prequel, but we're getting one, so we're gonna have to just take everything they throw at us and give them our money, because that's just how it works with big franchises.
It is how it works.
They already have my money, they just need to release the film. It's as simple as that.
Do you think Year 13s have it in their budget to create a Pennywise?
Not quite. You can probably get the look to a certain level, but it's when it comes to the turning into a spider and the teeth and the floating on balloons and everything else, that's when there's probably a little bit of an issue.
Yeah, but we can definitely take some inspiration from it. I mean, this is probably the biggest relevant thing. I mean, it's not like you can use things inspired from Six Underground in your Netflix original.
I mean, talking about being relevant, not that many years ago there was people walking around as clowns threatening murder, so...
That was terrifying.
Quite relevant.
When did this come out? 2017? And 2016 was when that trend was?
Yeah. It's bizarre how things work out.
It is.
I hope they weren't correlated. Right, we've been waffling about it with no direction.
Right. A Quiet Place.
A Quiet Place.
Mid. Not gonna lie.
I really like A Quiet Place. I think I haven't watched the second one. But in terms of the original, you've only seen the second one. Have you seen John Krasinski?
Oh, he's beautiful.
That wasn't going to be my point.
Okay, but that's my point.
Have you seen the film where he dies?
No.
That's the first film.
I kind of gathered that.
Oh, I wish we knew this when we were planning
Also,
these
spoiler
films.
alert. This probably should have been said right at the beginning, but spoiler alert to all the films that we've mentioned.
Yeah, I mean,
And
once you've gotten
apologies.
past Halloween and Friday the 13th and Scream, if you haven't figured out there's going to be spoilers, then
That's kind of on you.
yeah.
Anyway,
A Quiet Place. I really like this film. I think it's got a really interesting concept.
yeah, but also what I liked about it was the marketing behind it. Like in some movies that you saw that you've seen it in, you weren't allowed to eat like food in the cinema, so you had to keep complete
That's
silence.
really good. I like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
So you kind of just, because obviously the whole thing is that you have to stay quiet, otherwise you will be eaten or killed.
You'll die a little bit. Yeah.
Slightly.
I mean, this film sets the stakes really, really well. Because there's not many films in the opening scene where the main character would have their little child taken and eaten by the monster. Like, you just got snatched and then, like, cut to title card. It's like, it's very twisted.
Yeah, it's quite intense and intense to watch.
And what raises the intensity is the lack of music in some part. Like, there's no diegetic or non-diegetic sound because you're seeing it through the perspective of the deaf girl.
Yeah.
And everything goes silent, and I think that's perfect for it.
You know what other movie did that?
What other movie did that?
But you haven't seen it. Hush.
Hush. I haven't
Yep.
seen Hush. The only Hush I know is a Batman villain.
Hush was about the deaf girl, and she had to be completely quiet. Obviously, she was her home was being invaded, and she couldn't call 999, 911, whatever it is there. So that was terrifying
I might
to
have
watch
to
as
watch
well.
Hush.
You should.
I think it's always interesting when you can take something about a character and implement it into the way a film's made, not just a part of their character, but part of the essence of your film. And A Quiet Place does it really, really well.
It does.
And John Krasinski starring and directing. I think he did an incredible job.
I think
He's
an
my Mr.
incredible
Fantastic.
Man. He is my Ryan Reynolds.
He's your Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah.
He's my Mr. Fantastic. I want to see him as Mr. Fantastic in the Fantastic Four, and I want to see him with Tom Holland's Spider-Man. That would make my life worth living.
Okay.
Okay?
I can agree with that.
Thank you.
I think we should move on to Bird Box.
Bird Box. So we've gone from can't talk to can't see. Have we got
Pretty
any other?
swift. It's all quite intense.
Yeah. We've gone for less slashers and more scary,
Jump
psychological
scare.
kind of
Yeah.
things.
Anyway.
So Bird Box, it's
That
a
went
weird
viral.
film.
It is really weird.
It's a strange film in terms of, well, the film itself and also its cultural impact.
Oh yeah.
Like, how many people do you see doing like Bird Box challenges and stuff?
Yeah.
Just walking around the house with a blindfold on, seeing if they could live in Bird
It went
Box. And it's like,
viral. It blew up.
like really quickly as well.
Memes.
Like, if you hadn't
Out of
watched
this
it,
world.
you didn't have a clue what anyone was talking about
Yeah.
for at least a few
So you
months.
kind of had to watch it to
You
feel
had to watch it.
included.
Exactly. It's, I mean, would you call that viral marketing with everyone doing it on social media? Because, I mean, it is given the film marketing.
It was intentional.
Was it intentional?
Yeah. I looked at this in marketing the other day actually.
Oh. It's clever then. See,
It is. It's very clever.
how come you're prepared for Bird Box but you haven't seen Nightmare on Elm Street? That's not... Right, anyway, I'm going to have to drop the Nightmare on Elm Street thing. I just wanted to talk about Freddy Krueger.
I'm sorry.
I need to talk about one of the big slasher villains. And you ripped him away from us.
I'm really sorry.
You
I
should
hope you
be.
can forgive me.
Yeah, okay. I hope you have nightmares and I hope Freddy pops up. Okay, so Bird Box. I mean, it also doesn't shy away from the gore.
Oh yeah.
I mean, there's the scene where like it's because all the kills, you see them. The whole premise is if you see the monster, you kill yourself, and it's like it's so twisted that you see a woman crash a car and then sit in a flaming car,
Yeah.
or just fling herself through a window or stab herself in the neck with scissors, and it's like
It's very
it's dark.
shocking. It's
Yeah.
like suicide. That's usually a very sensitive topic. Like in it, homophobia, really sensitive topic, and they take advantage of that to
Yeah.
shock the audience.
It is shock tactics.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is.
At its finest.
It gets people talking because
Oh,
it's
yeah.
it's very brave to be willing to talk about something like that. I wouldn't risk it personally
No.
because it can go wrong in
Quite.
so many ways.
Yeah, like that's. It's just such a sensitive topic.
And credit to
you
the
just-
actors in, extras in this film, not the actors, the extras, because you'll just see someone in the background banging their head off like
Oh
a
God.
car or like trying to climb a tree and jump off it or something like that. And it's like, no one knows who they are, but they're giving it 110% to make this the best suicide. See, this is why it's a risky thing.
That feels a bit wrong to say.
It feels really wrong to say, but it is exactly what they did.
Yeah.
It's very well done. It's a very enjoyable film.
It is.
Only frustration is the enigma code of what the monster is doesn't get answered.
No.
And that leaves you a little bit unsatisfied.
Enigma codes are something that you should add in to your Netflix original.
You absolutely should.
You should, because
They appeal to
otherwise it's
ABC
gonna be
One audience
boring.
members
they do.
because they
And why?
because they're educated and so they can and like to solve mysteries. And if you're producing this as a feature film, they're the people with the disposable income to come and see the film at the cinema.
Exactly.
Exactly.
You are so well educated.
You too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's move on to Candyman.
Candyman. Right, we're gonna have to try and say that name less than 5
Candyman.
times.
Candyman.
Okay, I'm not saying that name.
Candyman.
Oh, and she said it.
Candyman.
Okay, so you're just gonna.
Let's go through this.
I mean, you already said it 5 times.
Did I actually?
Yeah, you're in trouble now.
Oh dear.
Okay, Candyman 2021. Enough of the tangent. Okay, it's a remake, like it was, and like our next film's gonna be, because we don't apparently have
A lot of
very
films in common.
broad shared horror knowledge.
We are best friends and we don't have that much film knowledge in common.
Yes, best friend.
I learn something
Bullies
new
us
about you
every
every
chance you get.
episode.
Yes, we do learn something new every episode.
It's CDMP, but it was just us becoming greater friends throughout the whole.
That's what this year's CDMP should be.
It is. The
Right.
theme is friendship. Anyway,
Candyman.
Candyman. I was researching this. It has such a twisted background.
Mm-hmm.
Like all the abuse, and he was brutally murdered, but it was a false accusation for an interracial love affair, and then he was given a hook for his hand before he was killed. Sensitive topic.
Did you say how he
taken
was killed?
advantage of. What?
Do you say how he was killed?
No.
He was like tied up and covered in like sugar and stuff, so the bees would come and get him and sting
Oh
him and stuff.
yes, I remember now. I'm not
Which is
that
why he's
stupid.
covered in bees with a fish hook.
That is quite upsetting, actually.
What I liked about this film is that it didn't just do a remake. It very much fits into the Rico territory,
Yeah.
where it builds on the original kind of, but doesn't directly address it too much. And I was going into it expecting it to just be a straight up remake of Candyman. It go through all the same narrative beats as the original, but it really, really wasn't.
Yeah.
And it had a new person becoming Candyman. It had interesting kills. It built on the law, referenced the law in the past for those who might have not seen the original. Have you seen the original?
Nope.
So did you find that law from the past helpful?
Yep. Nope.
Did you not?
No.
No? So did you have a clue what was happening in this film when you watched it without seeing the original?
Yep.
You're not convincing us? Yes or no question, and it's just.
I didn't know
turned
what
into
you
so
wanted
much
me to
confusion.
say.
The answer? Did that film help you understand what's happening without seeing the original?
I didn't not understand it. I knew what was going on,
But
but the ending did baffle me ever so slightly.
right, okay, yeah. To be fair, it baffled me as well.
It just
Not
kind of
seeing the
ended.
original.
It
Yeah,
it wasn't really like a. It just kind of
it was
finished.
quite abrupt.
Yeah.
Was that part of an effect, maybe?
If it was supposed to be a cliffhanger, it was not a good one, because I didn't feel like something else is going to happen. I can't wait for the next one. It was like, what?
Did you have any questions other than why it ended where it ended?
No.
So then, there's no point in it ending because well, there's a point in it ending, but not like that because there's no questions to answer later.
Do not do that in your Netflix original. Leave the audience with questions. What's going on? I want to know what's coming next, because this is a sneak peek and not a trailer.
A cliffhanger is a good place to end it.
It is.
Just a cliffhanger where your audience has questions left to ask.
Because you want your audience to want to watch this. You don't want them to watch it and think, please give up. That would
Just
not
stop,
be ideal.
end it, press pause, let me leave.
I think we should move on to The Invisible Man, because I
Okay.
think we've waffled
Our
quite a
final
lot.
film, we're going to try and get through a whole film without a tangent.
Okay, I'm going to go on so many tangents.
Yeah. Okay, Invisible Man, one of the classic...
Such good film.
It's incredible. One of the classic Universal horror monsters.
Men.
What? Right. No. Now, Universal tried to set up what they were calling the Dark Universe with their biggest characters, monsters from the past. That was going to emulate the MCU's success. Only it failed miserably with The Mummy, so nothing else happened. But there was plans for a werewolf film, an Invisible Man film.
Have you just got on a tangent?
No, I haven't actually. Because it shows that there's a way to bring in, there is actually a way to bring in these classic horror villains that Universal owns without having to do it as a grand cinematic universe or in the style of The Mummy. It shows that even though one plan failed, they shouldn't just give up, because Invisible Man is phenomenal. It's such a good modern twist on a classic film where instead of just magically spilling chemicals and becoming invisible, he designs a suit, but you don't know that until the end, and it starts glitching, which allows for some really, really good visuals.
Oh yeah, it's very well done.
And it lets the star of the film, I can't remember her name,
Me neither.
actress or character, but more reason to go and watch the film, learn it for yourself. But all that information, I've lost what I was talking about. Not on about information.
Universe.
Her performance, I don't know where I got lost there, but her performance is phenomenal, and just focusing on her and not the backstory of the Invisible Man really lets her performance shine, because you want her to be okay, and when she's scared you feel that, when she's hurting you feel that. When the people around her don't believe her, you feel the frustration.
Yeah.
And it's horror done well.
It really is, and I don't know, it's just touching on a sensitive topic. Like, we've had homophobia, suicide,
and
now we have
domestic abuse.
It is, because she feels like she's going insane, and she is just being manipulated.
And just a classic example of gaslighting.
Yep.
Like,
absolutely.
It is a film of gaslighting. This poor woman goes through so much starting to think she's going mental.
She's like, it's happening, and it's just no one believes it, because he's invisible and he has so much power as a man, and with that suit, it's just...
And I don't know about you, but the film manages to make you question. Like, if you didn't know that it was Invisible Man, you'd be questioning whether you were seeing this through her perspective or what was actually happening, because you'd be like, you start yourself questioning, like, whether is it actually real or is it not? Because no one else sees it, no one else believes it, so are you meant to believe or not?
Exactly.
Enigma codes, questions, it's exactly what horror is built on.
Exactly. These are all things you should include in your Netflix original. Enigma codes.
And apparently we can't think of anything else to include in your Netflix original, because it's the only thing we've told you to add.
Well, what else would you need in a Netflix original?
You need I think you need to put a good chunk of thought into your mise-en-scène.
Good planning.
What's going to decorate. Because if you look around us in the studio today, we've got a coffin, we've got a pickaxe, we've decorated it for the horror theme, and that's what you should do in your Netflix original. You should style it to the tone of what you want.
You shouldn't use something... What's that thing Mr. Rowe says? You shouldn't show a gun if it's not going to go off.
Yes.
Yes.
Is that Chekhov's gun? I feel like that's Chekhov's gun.
I think so. I don't remember. I just remember something like that.
Okay, so that's going to be our very educational end to our segment.
Good luck with your Netflix originals. Year 13, if you're watching this, and Year 12, you have a lot coming for you. Unit 8 is great.
Have fun with it.
Yeah, have fun with it. It's great.
It's absolutely fantastic.
You've got a good opportunity here.
Most entertaining unit.
And I think that's the most waffle I've ever talked in my entire life.
Me too. Should we just stay on their line? We'll be right back.
We'll be right back.